Alright, so we have chapter 2, section 4, multiplying rational numbers. And we're going to break this section up into two parts, fractions and decimals. So we'll do decimals in a couple days. So the main idea here is we're still going to be using our integer rules when we're multiplying and dividing. If they're the same sign, it's positive. If they're different signs, it's negative. Notice we're going to kind of take it back to our rules in 6th grade with fractions with multiplying and dividing. So we're going to kind of walk through those. So let's look at the first problem. Negative 3/8 times 5/6. Remember, when I'm multiplying, I'm just going to multiply straight across. 3 times 5 is 15. 8 times 6 is 48. It's a negative times a positive. They are different signs, so it's a negative. Last thing I have to do is make sure they are simplified. So both of these numbers are divisible by 3. So 15 divided by 3 is 5. 48 divided by 3 is 16. So your answer is negative 5/16. Now there's a different way of doing it. Just go ahead and rewrite the problem down below. So some of you may have heard this last year called cross-canceling. So what I'm going to look at is the 8 and 5 and the 3 and the 6. So the 8 and 5, is there a number that goes into both? Well, no, just one, and that doesn't do anything for me. If I look at the 3 and 6, a 3 goes into both of those. So I'm going to cross both of those out. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Notice how small my numbers got. Okay, so this is going to help me so I don't have to worry about simplifying as much. I'm still going to get a negative. 1 times 5 is 5. 8 times 2 is 16. You're in the same exact spot. Okay? Remember, you don't have to do cross-canceling, but it will make your numbers smaller. On the second one, notice I'm dividing. So when I'm dividing fractions, I'm going to remember 3 letters that we learned last year. K, C, not C, like we did with subtracting, but K, C, F. Okay, so keep, change, flip. So notice I'm going to put up my walls around the division sign just like we did during subtraction. So I have negative 2/7. Keep that, change division to multiplication. I'm going to flip 1 over 5 to 5 over 1. From there, I'm just going to multiply straight across. They're the same sign, so my answer is positive. 2 times 5, 7 times 1. Change that into a mixed number now. So 7 goes into 10 one time, with 3 left over. So 1 3/7 is my answer. Right. Let's look at the bottom left. So now we're going to get into mixed numbers. So before I do anything, just like we did with adding and subtracting, I have to make sure I change these to improper fractions. So negative 2 times 10 is 20, plus 5 is negative 25 over 10, times 10 times 3 is 30, plus 6 is 36. All right, so notice how big our numbers are right now. So when our numbers are this big, I really want you to look at where I can cross-cancel. If I look at 25 and 10, 5 goes into both of those, so 25 divided by 5 is 5. 10 divided by 5 is 2. 10 and 36 are both even, so I can take out a 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 36 divided by 2 is 18. Okay, so our numbers aren't still super small, but it helps. They're a lot smaller than they were. So now a negative times a positive is a negative. 15 or 5 times 18. If you don't know it, go it off to the side. Gives you 90. 5 times 2 is 10. So now I have a division problem. 90 divided by 10, it's still a negative. It's negative 9. Okay, let's look at the next one. Notice I do have a division problem, so normally I would KCF, but before you KCF, change these mixed numbers to impropers first. Okay, so I'm going to get negative 26 over 5 divided by 7 over 3. Now I can put up my walls. I keep, I change, and I flip. Okay. Now these aren't the best numbers in the world, so even though they're a little bigger, I can't cross-cancel anything. So if I don't know 26 times 3 in my head, do it off to the side. I get 78 and 35. Negative times positive is a negative. Okay, so let's change this into a mixed number now. 35 goes into 78 twice. 8 left over. So my final answer is going to be negative 2 and 8/35. The key thing here is make sure you change your mix to improper before you KCF. Okay, if you don't do that, you're definitely going to get mixed up, because if you put 3/1 right here, it's really going to change up what this fraction is. Okay, so make sure we're careful there. We got one more example on the back. So negative 1/7 times parentheses, or this is actually called a bracket, and it's the same thing as parentheses, 4/5 times negative 7. So we're going to do whatever's on the inside of the parentheses first, and then I'll worry about this number. Okay, so the first thing I'm worried about is 4/5 times negative 7. Negative 7 as a fraction is negative 7/1. So 4 times 7 is 28. 5 times 1 is 5. Positive times a negative is a negative. Now, I'm going to keep this as an improper fraction because I still have to worry about this negative 1/7. Alright, so now I'm going to do negative 1/7 times negative 28 over, negative 28 over 5. Alright, if I would have changed that to a mixed number, I would have just had to change it right back to an improper. So I might as well just keep it the same until I'm done with the problem. Okay, so this is going to be my final part. 1 and 5 I can't cross cancel. 7 and 28, I can cross cancel that. Both a 7 goes into both. So 7 divided by 7 is 1. 28 divided by 7 is 4. Notice that makes a big difference on my numbers. Okay, a negative times a negative is a positive. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 5 is 5. It's not improper. Can't reduce. My answer is 4/5. Alright, so just be careful here. Remember, if you have the opportunity and you're not done yet, you can just keep this as an improper, multiply it, and at the very end, when you're completely done with the problem, if your answer is still improper, that's when you have to change it. Okay. Down below, we have 4 problems. Make sure you are showing all of your work. Make sure you reduce and put all your answers in simplest form. Remember, when we're dividing down here, make sure we change them to impropers first, and then make sure you KCF.